David Applegate. Mentioned before, Teresa Pho, 6-1 here. Top 4 qualifying off the Nashville Regional Qualifier for Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. That's going to be coming up in Kyoto. Oath of Nissa, turn 1 for Teresa.
Typically the pairing you want when you have the turn 1 Ether Hub is
Attune.
Recharge your energy, though Oath finding a land's pretty good.
Well, if all you play is Planeswalkers, then who cares?
Sure.
She'll find Spire Bluff Canal. Yeah, that actually could be difficult. Most of her 2-drops are green cards.
Mm-hmm. And Spire Bluff Canal does not cast them.
And so she'll pass. But could cast a potential Abrade or Harness Lightning. We'll see if David gives a creature for her to target.
Mm-hmm.
He does not.
Slow start for the zombie deck.
Yeah, and that could be just fine for Teresa. She'll make a 3rd land, cast Whirler Virtuoso here. May not need green mana at this point.
Yeah, she does have a good amount of blue and red spells. If she gets a 4th on tap land and casts Chandra, Torch of Defiance on the next turn, or just any
Tameo into Glorybringer, yeah, it's fine. Lord of the Accursed from David.
Yeah, it dies to any of these 6 removal spells here, the 2 Abrade, the 4 Harness Lightning.
Looks like Glorybringer in Teresa's hand. You mentioned her deck very clean. Glorybringer a 4 of. Here is Rogue Refiner. Now that Teresa had cast the Virtuoso, that Aether Hub can go back to making green mana. But she just has to pass. Misses the 2 opportunities on land 4, and we'll see what the cost of that is.
Mm-hmm. And if she stumbles on land, David won't be punished for his slow start here. The zombie deck can really play some very powerful stuff in the mid-game here. Particular if there's a turn 5 Liliana's Mastery, that's going to be really powerful.
Dread Wanderer, the play from David.
Though it does look like David's hand is just heavy on Fatal Push, which is why he didn't have that early game action.
That's great for Teresa. You see Dark Salvation from David. It's going to make 1 zombie and kill either creature. He'll go for Whirler Virtuoso, and Teresa actually has a tough decision here when it comes to her mana.
Yeah, so she has the Ether Hub as her only green source. If she spends this 3 energy to make a Thopter, she might only have access to 1 more green mana for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, how much is the 1/1 worth?
And then a 1/1's not really doing too much in combat. You know,
no, with Lord of the Accursed, it's just a chump blocker. And you see Teresa, as a result, doesn't make a Thopter. It's going to leave all 4 energy.
Mm-hmm. And there's nothing in the way of sweepers, so she really needs to start casting these 4 and 5 mana spells. She needs to get up to Chandra to remove something like the Lord of the Accursed. She needs to cast Glorybringer and start Flame Tongue Kavoing down these creatures.
Yeah, if Zombies gets a critical mass in play, it can be really hard to answer it. See David with 3 more cards in hand. Teresa, it will be Abrade on the Lord of the Accursed. Had to choose between that and Servant of the Conduit. Looks like she did have the land, though. It's a tapped Botanical Sanctum.
Okay, the Botanical Sanctum is significant.
Yeah.
On track to peel a land and Glorybringer on the following turn.
4 more by David. We'll see if Teresa accepts this trade. Yes, it'll put the 3/2 in front of the token. Just takes 2, stays at 18. Doing just fine so far. Relentless Dead from Applegate. And a Westvale Abbey. That'll give him something to do. 2 cards left. 1 of them is Fatal Push. And now Teresa does draw a Chandra, Torch of Defiance.
This one's fine. Not excellent in this spot.
Yeah, it would have been good a couple turns ago. I don't know if she wants to kill spell really either of these creatures. It might even be something as simple as a Chandra Plus or just playing something else in her hand.
Right.
We'll see that Servant of the Conduit here.
Unfortunately, Oath of Nissa doesn't just fix your mana for creatures. Being able to use Chandra to cast Servant would have been pretty good.
David will Fatal Push the Servant. That'll work. We're still holding on end step here. Teresa, I believe, has another Abrade or Harness Lightning. She was thinking about pulling the trigger while David was lower on mana, but decides not to. He'll swing for 4.
Yeah, you could look at hitting the Relentless Dead. It'll always be able to get itself back.
And here's a braid on the Relentless Dead. And David will pay the full 3 here to bring back Lord of the Accursed and the 1 to put the Relentless Dead in his hand.
Given that she just went for a braid in combat, I think not using it on the end step was just a misstep. You see her reading Relentless Dead there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So she'll take 3. See, I'm not sure Applegate will recast the Relentless Dead to tap out to do it. That seems...
No, that's not
risky.
where he wants to be.
Yeah. Back over to Teresa. Draws a tune with Aether.
Not quite a land.
No, it'll set it up for next turn, but leaves something to be desired.
Still has a decent chunk of life.
Yeah, she's still at 15. This land, because it's untapped, will allow her to Chandra this turn. And on this board, she might have to send Chandra at Lord of the Accursed.
Yeah, that seems totally reasonable. And that'll keep her at 15, because Dread Wanderer really just has to go off after the Chandra there. That you can start going off with the Glory Bringer.
Yeah, here will be the Torch of Defiance. -3s. Yeah, kills Lord of the Accursed. And she will pass. So Glorybringer awaits next turn. David takes care of Chandra with the Dread Wanderer. And Metallic Mimic, naming Zombie. And here's Relentless Dead. He gets a 1/1 counter from the Mimic.
Yeah, won't be able to use the X ability if it dies this turn, but that's not really much of a loss.
Yeah, as long as you have the mana to get the Relentless Dead itself back.
Right. And 6 land there for David means he'll be able to start activating Westval Abbey if he bricks on draws. And again, no sweepers in the Teamer Energy deck.
Here's 5. Glorybringer will attack, exert, and shoot down Relentless Dead. David will put it back in his hand for 1 mana. Teresa choosing to go for Relentless Dead over Metallic Mimic there. It is a creature that David can get back, but this does save her the most life immediately.
Right.
Goes down to 11. David will recast Relentless Dead, and how about another one? A 1/1 counters on them. Zombies deck's proving to be very resilient here. Teresa said I'm starting to feel like she's going to need something like a Nicol Bolas.
And even Nicol Bolas doesn't really clean up multiple creatures. It actually goes down loyalty a lot to deal with one creature. If she was playing something like Chandra 6, a little Flame Caller, that would have been really good on this board, but she's only playing Chandra 4s.
Yeah, we are going to see out of the sideboard she has a lot of sweepers, but not game 1. As Channeler Initiate is the play here. Kind of souped up mana creature for 2. Can tap for any color and loses a -1 counter every time it makes mana.
I like the include in the deck, but this is a card for turn 2.
Applegate will push away the Channeler. Big swing coming up here for 10. Teresa at 11. This will put her to 1. Dark Salvation maybe in hand for Applegate. Yeah, just pointed at the Glorybringer. And yeah, 4 zombies means it's going to die. He gets a zombie token, enough mana for the Relentless Deads, and we're on to game number 2. It is David Applegate with zombies picking up the first win.
Teresa had a good chunk of energy. Virtuoso could have bought her some time, but just a lot of chump blocking.
So we look over to the sideboard for Teresa Pho. The inability to really, there were a lot of things that really spoke out to me there. First of all, she didn't have a sweeper. Second of all, she didn't have magma sprays in the main, which really mattered. Both of those are going to be fixed out of the sideboard.
Yep. Let's go to the sideboard. There's 3 copies of Sweltering Suns that seem quite powerful here. The 2 magma sprays as well. may as well bring in that third Abrade. It's another removal spell. That seems fine. Sky Sovereign can do some work in this matchup. You know, there's just not really Planeswalkers you're dealing with necessarily, but it at least kind of has another Flame Tongue Kabu effect. This is sort of like having another Glory Bringer, which can make you up some value, and also just attacks for a large amount in the air. We go over to Applegate's side. His sideboard, 3 Liliana the Last Hope, 3 Transgress the Mind, 2 Kalitas, Trader of Get, 2 Doomfall, a Fatal Push, an Ob Nixilis Reignited, a Gonti, Lord of Luxury, and Never to Return, and a Murder. So Teresa's deck, she's playing a lot of like these high impact cards. She has like the 4 Glory Bringers, some Planeswalkers. Never to Return's pretty impactful in this kind of matchup. Reasonable argument for Doomfall. It won't line up as well against the Planeswalkers, but just casting it on turn 3 as that coercion kind of effect, you can exile the best card from Teresa's hand, which will often be pretty good. Transgress the Mind, of course, better in that role. That one seems pretty good in this matchup as well.
Yeah, I'd want to be careful about boarding in too many of that kind of card, but I do agree with you, especially when Teresa's trying to use a card like Glorybringer or Sweltering Suns to really stabilize her. Transgress seems good.
Right. The Doomfall is nice because it is the backup mode. It can just kill a Glorybringer, though it has done some damage at that point.
Yeah, both modes of Doomfall are pretty playable here. I do like the card.
Won't line up well against Whirler Virtuoso, so you got to be mindful of that.
All right, so this is our first, well, it's our first broadcast open here of Season 2. Our first open was, of course, at the Invitational. But we have a full packed schedule of events here in Season 2. So we are here at the Cincinnati Open. Next week is going to be our first team open of the season. I know you and I are going to be there covering it. It's going to be in Atlanta, July 22nd and 23rd. So next week you need a standard, a modern, and a legacy player to play in the event. First time we're bringing our team format to the South. After that, though, we will take a week off for the Pro Tour, and then we come back. It'll be the Syracuse Open in Modern. Then we have another Modern one in Richmond. So a lot of great events to start the season. We take about a month break before we come back for a Modern Open in Louisville. We go over to Dallas to play Standard. And then in October, we return back to Charlotte for a Modern Open. Back here to Cincinnati, we'll be playing Modern. And then we finish the season in DC. We will have our Legacy Open. That's October 28th and 29th. We have our regional championships at the beginning of November. We have another team open in Baltimore before we end the Season 2 at the Invitational, Standard and Modern in Roanoke, Virginia.
A good mix of Standard, Modern, and Legacy throughout the season. So come out and play your favorite formats.
All right, now we also get playmats for coming up to each of the Opens this season. We have Standard, Legacy, and Modern Opens, each with a different playmat. We have the Bantu, the Glorified playmat. That's going to be for Standard, given away at Classics and Opens. It's going to be Spell Pierce for Modern, the Invocation art, and then we also, for Legacy, we have Days, which this one, another Invocation art. This may be my favorite of the playmats, personally.
Love the art. Doesn't fit Days especially, I would say, but the art is really good. And really, all these Invocation arts are really gorgeous, especially when you got just these full focus of the art on the playmat.
Yeah, so these are free with any entry into a Season 2 Open or Classic. Also part of, can get one with entry to our Infinite Challenges. Players drawing 7s here. Looks like we have keeps. And going to be Oath of Nissa to start here for Teresa.
Much better off of Botanical Sanctum than it is off of Ether Hub.
Yeah, the mana never actually, the color of her mana never actually punished her that first game. But only getting 3 lands, that did end up hurting.
Right.
This time, though, Oath of Nissa is going to find a copy of Glorybringers, so that's going to be waiting as David makes Dread Wanderer. We go back over to Teresa. A Sheltered Thicket in hand, among other lands. Looks like it'll be Attune to start. With these 4 and 5 color decks, sequencing your lands can always be one of the tougher parts.
Yeah, you want to take your time, make sure you're finding the right lands on each of your turns. You don't want to find yourself untapping on turn 4, unable to cast your 4-drop. Or find yourself on turn 3 unable to cast Whirler Virtuoso. Very unfortunate to be off tempo in a deck that starts on 2.
So you might just be that, and it'll be Lumbering Falls tapped. So one of the things I like about these 5-color decks or teamer decks, you know, the turn 1 Oath finds Glorybringer, and then she plays 2 non-red lands. Swing for 2 and another Dread Wanderer for David Applegate. He can afford to commit a little harder, as Teresa didn't play a red land. Those Sweltering Suns aren't online yet.
Right.
She'll cycle Sheltered Thicket. I suppose David has to be wary. It's not always that Sweltering Suns is their sweeper. If it's Radiant Flames, then this could have happened.
Right, yeah, just one mountain to cast that one. Though, by and large, people have moved towards Sweltering Suns just because of the ability to cycle it. Sometimes the teamer deck will just be out ahead.
Swing for a 4 here from David. No turn 3 play, but he does make the land drop. Teresa's down to 14. So he's being careful about how hard he wants to commit into a sweeper.
And he's applying significant pressure as it is, so he can certainly afford to be deliberate.
Yeah, 4 damage a turn is nothing to laugh at. Teresa, basic forest. Has a Chandra in hand she could cast, and she will. Now I'm interested to see what mode she picks on it. And yeah, she's going to plus it to exile. Well, Sweltering Suns, you see a little move of the eyebrows there. Would have liked that one.
Yeah.
But David takes 2. I like this play. This is the only way she could have cast Chandra and gotten the card to survive.
Right. -3 on Dread Wanderer, also not the most enticing line.
But never to return a clean answer from David. He'll keep the attacks and move Teresa down to 10. Here's land 5. It is a basic mountain and Glorybringer. We knew it was there. It's going to exert and deal 4 to the Dread Wanderer. David down to 14. Dragon currently exerted, not going to untap.
Yeah, you know, David's hand is quite full now. Looks like 5 cards there, so the Dread Wanderer shouldn't be coming back straight away. It doesn't feel great to exert Glorybringer there, but Teresa has to clean up some of the battlefield.
Teresa down to 8 here on the attack.
In particular, if she can follow up with another or even a third Glorybringer, it's doing a lot of damage in the air.
And he's going to cast Return on the Chandra Torch of Defiance. So another zombie here for Applegate.
Yeah, if Teresa is exerting Glorybringer to kill your Dread Wanderer, just making 2/2s is just probably powerful.
Just keep going slow. See another Glorybringer in her hand. That one's interesting. Looks like she'll cast Rogue Refiner. Goes up to 4 energy. Attune was the draw off Rogue Refiner. I really hope she's building up toward Nicol Bolas here. I want to see the God Pharaoh in play. This is his set.
You know, I'm not sure that that's in the deck post sideboard in this matchup.
I mean, you're probably right, but I'm hoping it is.
I don't know with certainty. You know?
Yeah, all right.
Anything's possible.
Maybe it's there. I'm gonna see Bolas descend down on the plane.
The God Pharaoh may perform a miracle for your viewing pleasure.
She'll get a basic forest off the Attune. Up to 6 energy right now. No outlet though. No some like Whirler Virtuoso just yet. And I'll pass the turn. Still, you mentioned before, a full grip here from Applegate. Draws, looks to be Liliana's Mastery. Dark Salvation in hand, too.
Yeah, with an opponent on 8, Mastery seems real powerful.
Yeah, a lot to like here from Applegate.
I also just got to empty that hand out at some point.
Looks like 3 mana is going to be Dark Salvation. That'll kill Rogue Refiner, makes a zombie for David.
He has a Grasp of Darkness that he wants to cast on the Glorybringer.
You're going to be like, why didn't he Dark Salvation the dragon?
Oh, well, why didn't he Dark Salvation for X equals 2?
Sure. Here's a swing for 4. Teresa will drop to 4. She will abrade away the Dread Wanderer. there a reason you'd hit the Wanderer and not a token there? And then Grasp hits the Dragon.
Doesn't make a significant difference. She only has 2 Magma Sprays, though realistically she would prefer to hit the Wanderer with that if she drew it.
Okay. Another land here, Teresa, up to 7 energy. 7 mana, but down to 7 energy, 7 mana, but just 6 life points. Here's 5, it's another Glory Bringer. That's going to have to attack and exert, kills one of the 2 tokens. David down to 10. I suppose Teresa can try to race back here.
Yeah, the Glorybringers, they do attack for 4 when they exert. David is at 10.
And he's going to play one of the if near dead lands.
And there's Liliana's Mastery.
All right. This one, if she has a negate in, it's going to certainly draw the negate.
Yeah, letting this resolve is not where you want to be.
Well, Harnessed Lightning the zombie token in response. She doesn't want to take damage.
Sure, she plays that so she can net an energy.
Yep. Yeah, she'd suspend that. But David does get the 2 tokens. One more land. He can't bring back the Dread Wanderers just yet, but next turn he'll be able to do both.
Right.
Can Teresa find a way to deal the remaining 10? I think that's going to be the trick here.
Now, she does have Lumbering Falls, but that's really just looking to trade with a zombie token from this board state.
And back over to David. Swing for 6. Is it going to be lethal? Here's the swing. She has a Lumbering Falls. She can activate it to attempt to block. That'll work. She'll go to 3.
Can't realistically stop that one from happening.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I guess you could have Doomfall.
It's a sorcery.
Okay, yeah. Teresa down to 3. David plays the Westvale Abbey. 1 card in hand, could use both Dread Wanderers now. And here's 1. Here's 2. 3 lethal attackers into play for David Applegate. He says go. And 2 lands from Teresa. That's not going to cut it. So it is win number 7 for David Applegate. Mono Black Zombies moves ahead again. For Teresa Pho, her 2nd loss of the tournament drops her to 6-2. Both these players, though, already locked for day 2 of competition.